Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English, and this is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video we shall have the discussion of an important poem titled Fidelity by the famous romantic poet William Wordsworth. And this poem is prescribed for the first semester BCom General English under Bangalore University syllabus, that is the SCP 2024 syllabus onwards. So let's have the discussion of the famous poem Fidelity by William Wordsworth. So about the poem, Fidelity is composed by William Wordsworth, and it tells a very touching story about a dog's incredible loyalty. So it's about a dog, it's about his loyalty towards his owner. The poem starts with a shepherd who has been hearing a very unusual barking sound in a very remote mountain area. And when he goes to investigate that from where the sound is coming, he finds a dog who is sitting alone nearby a human skeleton or nearby a human dead body. The shepherd realizes that the dog has been staying by its dead owner's side for 3 months. The poem praises the dog's unwavering devotion, showing how its love and loyalty are truly extraordinary. So let's see the poem. Let's go through the poem in detail, line by line explanation. A barking sound the shepherd hears, a cry as of a dog or fox. Here the poet says here, the shepherd is hearing a kind of a barking sound in the distance, and this barking sound of a dog is very much different. He feels that either this sound belongs to a dog's barking sound or perhaps a fox sound, a fox sound. So he hears a barking sound in the distance, which sounds like a cry from a dog or perhaps a fox. He halts and searches with his eyes among the scattered rocks. So the shepherd stops and he looks around the rocky landscape to find the source of the sound. So he stops, the shepherd stops, and he's trying to find out from this rocky landscape. Means to say there are so many mountains and it's filled with so many vegetation, and he's trying to find out from where the sound is coming. Now at a distance can discern a stirring in a brake of fern. So from a distance, the shepherd finds that there's a moment in the patch of ferns. Ferns means some sort of leaves which covers the ground. So from a distance, he finds that there is a kind of a moment is visible in the patch of ferns. And instantly a dog is seen glancing through that covert green, and suddenly he finds something. He finds that a dog is moving through the green ferns, sometimes appearing and sometimes disappearing from the vegetation. So there is thick vegetation, and after observing very keenly, he finds that a dog is moving through the green ferns. Sometimes he appears, sometimes he disappears from the vegetation. So let's go through these lines once again. A barking sound the shepherd hears, a cry as of a dog or fox. He halts and searches with his eyes among the scattered rocks. And now at distance can discern a stirring in a brake of fern, and instantly a dog is seen glancing through that covert green. The shepherd hears a barking sound in the distance, which sounds like a cry from a dog or perhaps a fox. He stops and he looks around the rocky landscape to find the source of the sound. From a distance, the shepherd notices some movement in a patch of ferns. He sees that a dog is moving through the green ferns, sometimes appear and sometimes disappear from the among the vegetation. Let's go through the next stanza. The dog is not of mountain breed. Its motions too are wild and shy. So what is the observation of the shepherd here? The shepherd observes that the dog is not the usual kind of dog which could be seen in the mountains. Its movements seem very nervous, erratic, or very frightened. He finds that this dog is very different from the dogs which we find in our nearby our houses. So it's very unusual dog. So he says that it is not of a mountain breed. It's very different dog with something, as the shepherd thinks, unusual in its cry. The dog's bark or the dog's cry seems very strange to the shepherd, and he thinks that this dog's cry is different from what he would expect from a normal dog. So the way a normal dog cries or bark, but this dog's cry or this dog's barking way is very different from the normal dog. So this is a very strange dog, very unusual dog. Nor is there anyone in sight all around in hollow or on height. So, how is the location? The shepherd looks around and he finds no one, neither in the valleys nor on the hills. So, completely isolated place. So, he does not see anybody over there. He does not find any human being over there. So, this dog sound or this dog sound can be heard from the valleys or from the hills, but no human beings. Nor shout nor whistle strikes his ear. What is the creature doing here? So the shepherd, he thinks that there are no human sounds like shouting, whistling, so which indicates always somebody's presence. The shepherd wonders what the dog is doing in this isolated, lonely place. So let's go through those lines once again. The dog is not of mountain breed. Its motions too are wild and shy, with something, as the shepherd thinks, unusual in its cry. Nor is there anyone in sight, all round in hollow on or on height, nor shout, nor whistle strikes his ear. What is the creature doing here? So the shepherd, he finds that the dog is something very unusual dog. This is not a usual dog because its movement seems very nervous, very much frightened. Even its barking style or its cry is also very different from the usual dog. So the shepherd, he looks here and there, but he does not find any human beings. He does not find any human sounds like shouting, whistling. So finally, he finds that what is this dog doing in this isolated, this lonely place? Let's move to the next stanza. It was a cow, a huge restless that keeps till June, December's snow. So what kind of place is this? The setting is here very remote, very deep cove where the snowfall can be seen from December till June. And moreover, it's very isolated place. It's very cold climate. So the shepherd thinks, how is it possible for a dog to stay alone in such a geographical location, in such a place where snowfall can be seen from December till June? A lofty precipice in front, a silent tarn below. So what could be seen here? In front of the shepherd, there's a tall cliff. Cliff means mountain. And below this mountain, there's a quiet tarn. Tarn means to say a small mountain lake. You can see this picture, which I have located on this on a slide here. So what he observes the next thing, he observes here there's a tall mountain, and below the tall mountain, we can see a small mountain lake. And far in the bosom of Helvellyn, remote from public road or dwelling. So this area, what is this area exactly? This area is very much deep in the heart of Helvellyn. What is Helvellyn? Helvellyn is the name of a mountain in the Lake District, and which is far away from any road, houses, or human activity. So what he want to say here, this location is related to the mountain in the Lake District, and which is nowhere connected to the road or houses or any human activity. It is absolutely isolated place. Pathway or cultivated land from trace of human foot or hand. So there are no paths, there are no signs of any human cultivation, and this location is completely untouched wilderness with any sign of people. You cannot see any human beings, you cannot find anybody who is living here. So let's repeat the whole stanza. It was a cow, a huge restless that keeps till June, December snow, a lofty precipice in front, a silent tarn below, far in the bosom of Helvellyn, remote from public road or dwelling, pathway or cultivated land, from trace of human foot or hand. So the complete setting of this location is the deep cove where you can see the complete snowfall from December to June and it's very difficult to stay alone, any human being or any animal, especially in this isolated or this cold climate. Then he finds here there's a tall cliff, there's tall mountain, and below the tall mountain there's a lake. And this area is referred as the mountain in the Lake District. And this Lake District is absolutely disconnected from any road, house, or any human activity. And so in this manner there's no a sign of human cultivation. It's nowhere connected with any kind of sign of people. So this is a very lonely place and very lonely location. This is how William Wordsworth has described. He's also called as a nature poet. So far he has been describing the nature, the location, the setting of the remote place, and he's still wondering that the shepherd still wonders that how is it possible for a dog and the dog, which is a very unusual dog, to stay alone in this location. Then let's go to the next stanza. There sometimes doth a leaping fish send through the tarn a lonely cheer. So something, you can see some sort of activity here. How occasionally a fish jumps out from this lake, and this fish breaks the silence with a splash of sound. So only which sound we can hear here? The fish which jumps out of that lake and break the silence with its splash of water or with its splash of sound. The cracks repeat the raven's croak in symphony austere. So there's one more sound which can be observed here, the sound of the crow. So this cliff, this mountain echoes with a harsh croak of ravens. Ravens is a kind of a crow, which is going to, and crow is a black color, and black color is a bleak, gloomy atmosphere sign here. So there are two sounds which can be heard here. The sound of a fish which jumps out of the lake and it breaks the silence with a splash of sound. And the second is here, the mountain echoes with a harsh sound of the crow. So the crow here is a symbol of bleak and the very solemn atmosphere. Thither the rainbow comes, the cloud and mist that spread the flying shroud. So the rainbows and the clouds, they often appear in this wild landscape with a mist sometimes, which covers the area like a moving shroud. Like a shroud means a kind of cover which is used to cover some dead body. So the rainbow and the clouds, they appear, again they disappear, and they are going to cover such kind of sounds. Which kind of sound? The fish sound and the crow sound, the raven sound. And this sound is sometimes appear, sometimes disappear due to the arrival and the departure of the rainbow and the clouds, especially the clouds. And sunbeams and the sounding blast, that if it could would hurry past, but that enormous barrier binds it fast. Sunlight occasionally breaks through, and the strong winds blow through this area as though they wish to rush through, but they are slowed by the terrain means mountain. So what happens here? Sunlight also appears through the strong winds, and sometimes the power of the winds gets slowed down due to the mountains. So we can find here the strong wind blowing. Then the cliff, the tall cliff and the mountains, this tall cliff and the mountains, they work like as a barrier. They hold the wind, they prevent the wind to pass through freely. So that means the area is completely covered by the mountains. And here in this location, we can find the sounds of the fish who jumps out of the tarn, the lake, right? And the echo sound, the echo of the ravens, the crows, right? The rainbow also appears, the clouds also appears in the wild landscape here. Then we find here the strong winds start to blow, but again the strong winds speed the strong winds speed is broken due to the trapping sounds of the wind, due to the huge mountains. So these are the barriers which could be seen, which could be observed by the speaker, by the shepherd here. So now we are moving to the next end. So in this stanza, the shepherd says, not free from boarding the thoughts, a while the shepherd stood, then makes his way towards the dog over rocks and stones as quickly as he may. The shepherd, who is feeling very much uneasy with the feeling of danger, and he stands very silent for a moment. Then he starts moving towards a dog, and he carefully makes his way over the rough and rocky terrain. So the location is very rough. The location is surrounded by the mountains, and slowly, with a lot of care, with utmost care, he's trying to move towards the sound, towards the cry of the dog. But still, he's feeling very much danger. That he's feeling very uneasy. A feeling of danger could also be observed here. Nor far had gone before he found a human skeleton on the ground. So what happens? So he has not gone very far, and he discovers a kind of skeleton of a human lying on the ground. The slowly he moves further, and he finds that a human skeleton is lying on the ground. The appalled discover, the appalled discoverer with a sigh looks round and to learn the history. So very much shocked. He's very shocked, very much sad by the discovery. And the shepherd looks around, and he's trying to think that what might have happened here. The moment he saw the human skeleton, the moment he saw the dead body over there, he got shocked as well as sad, and thinking that what might have been happened here. The history, he's trying to locate the history of this particular human skeleton. Then in the next stanza, we find here, from those abrupt and perilous rocks, the men had fallen, that place of fear. The men had fallen from the steep, the dangerous cliff above, which is known to be a perilous area. So he thinks that I think this skeleton belongs to a person who would have fallen from this very steep and very dangerous mountain. And this mountain is known as a very perilous area. This area is known as a very dangerous area. So he's thinking that how this man would have died here. At length, upon the shepherd's mind, it breaks and all is clear. So suddenly, the shepherd remembers something, and everything becomes clear to him. Now he's able to analyze here what would have been happened here. So he's trying to connect the dots here, and he instantly recalled the name and who he was, whence he came. So he remembers who the man was, where he was from, what brought him to this remote area. He remembered too the very day on which the traveler passed this way. So finally, he has remembered the traveler who has passed this way, the exact day when the traveler has passed through this area, and he thinks that this traveler would have been fallen from the top of the mountain, and this area is very much a dangerous area. So this is how he has tried to analyze the situation and the reason of this human skeleton which he has seen. Then, but here a wonder, for whose sake this lamentable tale I tell. He says here, the poem now introduces a very remarkable part of the story, which makes this tragic tale worth telling. He says that now we are going to find out a great story here, which is going to make this poem a very remarkable, a very tragic tale, tragic story. A lasting monument of words, this wonder merits well. He says that even the words are also not sufficient. This extraordinary event deserves to be remembered and recorded in the words for all the time. He says that this story should be the everlasting story, should be the universal story. It should be recorded in the words. This is how this story is so important. So he's going to immortalize this story of this traveler and the dog. The dog, which still was hovering nigh, repeating the same timid cry. So he says that the dog was still near the scene, making the same anxious, timid cry that had first caught the shepherd's attention. The shepherd still can hear the timid cry from this dog here, and still he can observe a kind of sadness, a kind of a grief in the cry of the dog. This dog had been, through 3 months' space, a dweller in that savage place. So now he has assumed that the dog had stayed in this wild, lonely location for 3 months since its master had died. So finally, he says that this is the story here. His master had died just before 3 months, and from the past 3 months, this dog is beside the dead body. This dog is beside the human skeleton, and this is a very tragic tale which is worth telling, and we should explore this story. And this story, this event, should be remembered, should be recorded in the words for all the time. And this is how the poet is going to immortalize the loyalty of a dog towards his master. Then we find here, yes, proof was plain, and that since the day, proof was plain, and since the day when this ill-fated traveler died. So now proof is seen here. Now it is very much clear. Ever since the day the traveler had died, the dog had remained by his side. So the day the traveler died, from that particular day, the dog is standing beside this dead body, beside this human skeleton, beside the dead body of his master, and showing his loyalty. The dog had watched about the spot or by his master's side. The dog had either stayed close to the spot where its master had fallen, or directly by the body itself. So there's no clarity here. Either the dog has been staying the same place where he had died, or the dog is directly standing beside the body itself. How nourished here, though such long time, he knows who gave that love sublime. No one can explain how the dog survived in such a remote, harsh place for such a long time. Only the divine or the power of its deep love for its master can account for it. So we can't explain that how he would have been staying there for such a remote location, such a location where the snowfall can be observed from December to June, December to July, right? December to January. So only the divine power or the deep love's power or his loyalty, his love towards his master can only account it, and gave that strength of feeling great above all human estimate. So the dog's love and loyalty are so powerful and so extraordinary that it has surpassed any human understanding or any human understanding or human measure. Means to say, it's quite nobody can understand this kind of love, this kind of affection, this kind of loyalty between a dog and a human being. This is really powerful and extraordinary. It really surpasses any human understanding. So this is about fidelity. This is about fidelity, means to say the loyalty. The title of the poem is Fidelity. That means loyalty. So in this manner, we find here these themes. We find here these themes: loyalty and devotion, nature as a moral guide, solitude and reflection, and death and memory. So let's try to summarize in very simple terms once again. The poem Fidelity by Wordsworth, it tells the story of a shepherd who hears an unusual barking sound while in the mountains, and he's very curious. He stops, he looks around, and he finds a dog comes from the fern, from the green plant with the long stems. The dog is not a typical mountain breed. Its behavior seems very wild and strange. The shepherd noticed that no one else is nearby, no voice, no whistle, no sound, no sign of people. He wonders that why the dog has been alone in such a lonely place. So the setting is described as a remote, isolated area, and with a very rough mountains, far away from roads or any human activity. The landscape is very simple with cliff. There's a very quiet small lake and snow that remains till June, December to June. And the nature's presence is very strong, with the sound of ravens, with the sound of the crow, and the occasional sight of the leaping fish or the arrival of the mist and rainbows. So feeling uneasy, the shepherd approaches the dog, and making his way across the rocks, before he goes further, he discovers a human skeleton lying on the ground. He is very shocked, and he realizes that the man must have fallen from the top of the mountain, gradually he remembers that there was a traveler who passed through this area like a few months before, 3 months before, and the tragedy becomes now clear to him. Now it has become clear to him what is the dog doing here. The shepherd is struck by remarkable discovery. The dog had stayed near its master's remains, master's dead body, human skeleton, for 3 months and never leaving the spot. The dog's loyalty and devotion are really extraordinary, as it had somehow survived in this harsh environment without anyone's help. He has been faithfully watching over its deceased honor, the dead honor. So the poem ends by very marveling at the strength of the dog's love and dedication, which really goes beyond anything which human can fully understand. So friends, this is how I have tried to give a summary of the famous poem Fidelity by Wordsworth. So if you have liked this poem, click on the like button. Subscribe the channel if you're not yet subscribed. A lot of videos are in the process, and before the examination you will get all the videos, question answers, model question papers. So please do subscribe my channel. If you have any questions, any queries regarding the syllabus or any material if you require, you can mail me at mukeshenglish@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you once again.